Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening to all my friends in the UK. How is everyone doing? It's Thursday here. Well, it's Thursday. Here we are on Thursday. Thursday. The feed on Monday night on Facebook was an absolute train wreck. And that was mostly, I think just, I don't know if it was the connection going up to Facebook, which I don't think it was, but there's no, whatever happened, it was just a mess. So the idea on Thursday or Monday was to get pretty much a lot of this painting done, this Ford painting. That did not happen. So here we are today. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I figured instead of just kind of knocking it out during the week, that I would do some of this with you. So that's kind of what we got. Dan, what's going on? Ryan, what's up? Ryan, I love the work you're doing. Keep posting it. Yeah, you guys are killing it. So that's what we got. Yeah, so we're just going to get to it. So I've changed a few things technically so that I can pivot a little bit faster if things go sideways. I'm not expecting anything to happen today. One, because it's YouTube, and two, again, I made a couple little changes here that will, like I said, allow me to kind of pivot through the madness, as it were. Kelly Drake, what's up, buddy? Thunderstorms. I love thunderstorms. We had them yesterday. We might get more today as I'm looking out the window. But let's get to it. I'm going to switch over to this camera. So that's the Ford painting, and that's the reference. We'll get to that in a second. One thing I wanted to mention, and I popped it out on today's post, out of the special event that I'm doing with the 4 paintings. There are only 2 left. So I'll show you these real quick. And I think I showed them to you last week. There's the Boston painting. This is of just looking over the Charles River at Boston during the fall. There is someone who looked like they were interested in this, but then I haven't heard from them. So it's still on the site. So if you want this one, it is still available. But if you do want this one, move fast, because, like I said, someone seemed like they were pretty much ready to go on it. So this is it's called Longfellow Fall. Essentially, you're standing on the Longfellow Bridge on the Charles River. I can't talk today. So that's more what it looks like with light. It's on a piece of titanium, and yeah, just I had a really good time with this one. And then the other one, the one I actually thought would go first, but it's still here, and I hope someone gets this one, because actually I'm 50-50 on this. If someone grabs it, great. If it doesn't, I don't mind keeping this one forever. And this is the one I posted today. This is the Grand Canyon blade. So yeah, so this one is, oops, what'd I do? I don't know, I hit something. Don't start hitting stuff. So that is the Grand Canyon blade. And yeah, I think I mentioned it last week. The background is crushed up stone from the Grand Canyon. And just one of my favorite little razor blade paintings. So that's it. Dean, what's up? I know you guys got a super heat wave, which is weird. It should be raining. Well, that's what'll happen. It'll rain. It'll be 1,000,000% humidity. Brandon, what's up? What's going on? All right, so that's it. So that's show and tell. So quick and dirty. Again, I'm going to leave those up until they are gone. Well, no, I'll take that back. I'll leave them up for a little while longer. Again, I really like the Grand Canyon painting, so if it doesn't go, that's fine with me. So if it gets to a point where it's just kind of hanging around there, then I'm just I'll pull it down. Now, if I do pull it down, though, it won't be on the site at all. So, it's one of those things. All right. Let's get to it. So what I was doing Monday, or was trying to do Monday, were the lines in the grill. You can see them really well in this photo, and I'm going to get you guys closer. But I wanted to kind of show something really quick. And Tim brought this up yesterday, and I really appreciate him throwing out all the good words about the feeds that I do. It means a lot coming from someone like him. And he was talking a little bit yesterday about the little ruler trick I use with paintbrushes. I didn't explain it well enough on Monday, one, because things were going totally sideways, and I don't know that everyone's seen this. I just took it for granted that people have seen me do this a bunch of times. I do have a Tech Tuesday on this, so if you want to just keep referring to it, just jump back to the Tech Tuesday on this. But what I do is I use a ruler to get a straight line. I know, shocker, right? But it's the technique that kind of goes with this that really makes it happen. And I'm going to show you back here first, and then I'll zoom in. So what happens is normally when you have a pen and a ruler, you put it down on the paper and you just line it up with the edge and just draw your straight line, right? You can do the same thing with a paintbrush, except you can't put the bristles on the edge of the ruler, right? Because the bristles will move, make a nasty line. But the ferrule of the paintbrush, the metal part of the paintbrush, is obviously really hard, and that will allow you to get a straight line. And I promise I will get you closer, but I want you to see the whole thing first. So what I do is, you can do this with any kind of ruler. I like these cutting rails from Art Tool because they get this little lip on the edge. They're really thick rulers. Where are you looking? There where you look. Yeah, it's a really thick piece of aluminum, and it's got this little rubber backing on the back. So that works out really well, but it works with anything. Where's my, I have a little steel ruler here. You can do the same thing with a steel ruler with nothing on it. That works too. Major tip dry over here at the moment, and heat's not helping. Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, we have, we're in mid 80s right now, which is fun. And that sounded like a beer, but it's not. It's middle of the day, so it's Dr. Pepper. Yay, Diet Dr. Pepper too. If you guys are off and, or in the UK and you're done working, please feel free to have beverages. That's fun. So what you do is you use the metal of the ferrule of the paintbrush, and then the way you get this to work is you tilt the ruler up. Now, for me, it works best at like an angle like this, like if I tilt the brush like this, because then I can do the line like this. It's a little bit more difficult to do it, up and down, or, at this angle or whatever. So I usually tend to kind of keep it roughly about this angle somewhere in here, and then move the painting underneath. And you'll see that with the Ford painting today. But what you do is you tilt the ruler back so that it's the ferrule that's hitting the ruler. And then you'll be able to get a nice thin line. So again, I want you to see the ruler tilt on this from far away, and then we're going to get closer so you can actually see it up close. I won't do it on the painting yet, but we'll do a bunch of it on the painting. So again, I want you to be able to be close so you can see it. And I'll get a sheet of paper here. And then I'll do a few lines with this to show you how it works. And what's going on over here? No. Ha! I just got another error message on the computer, but it was just the computer. So it's trying to update a printer that I don't even have. So that was nice. Other than that, everything seems really, really good. Connection and everything. And you guys aren't getting any skipping or anything, right? Hopefully. No lagging or whatever. I hope. Doesn't look like it on my end. So, while I'm setting this up too, the thing is, if Facebook, which I'm now calling AdBook, is going to continue getting worse and worse, there is a reasonably good chance I will move the Monday night feed to YouTube. But obviously, I will let everyone know as we do it. But yeah, it's getting crazy over there. All right, so you get the piece of paper, you get the ruler, right? All right, and what you do, quit alcohol 4 years ago. Dean, that's awesome. Dean, my mom is going on 40 years. So she gave up smoking 17 years ago and gave up drinking 40 years ago. That's amazing. And, well, I'll have to tell you that's so much better for you. But, I'm not shaming anyone else who's partaking because, I do. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little bit of black here on the brush to show you. And I'll use a couple different brushes to kind of show you that it works with everything. So I'll just palette up the brush. But what you do is you tilt the ruler back, right? Now this is the tricky part. You have to hold the ruler at the angle you want. You can't move it up and down like this when you're doing the line. So what I usually do is, you can't see it, but I've kind of got my hand right at the end, and one finger is on the board, and the other fingers just kind of grab the ruler, and this finger actually is underneath the ruler here. So again, I'd love to say there's like a specific technique, but do whatever is comfortable just to kind of keep the ruler right there. And then you grab your paintbrush, and I'm going to get the right palette here. Hey, JC, what's up? Yeah, Facebook is devolving, and it makes me sad. It makes me real sad, especially Like, I'm not going to say, like, I call it ad book, but I mean, I advertise stuff all the time on it, but it's exceptionally bad now. So anyway, so ferrules on the paintbrush. You line this up with where you want to go. Now it was easy because I'm just doing a line. I'm not really lining up with anything, but you'll see it on the painting when I do it in a few. And then you just kind of run the ruler right across. I mean, run the paintbrush right across your ruler, and it makes a straight line with your paintbrush. Now, the big difference between this and a pen, obviously, is the bristles will produce a different line. If you're just the tip of the paintbrush, it'll produce a thin line. If you push down hard, you'll get a thicker line. So that's still active here. So you really got to kind of play around with it. You want the right consistency of paint. You want to really palette the brush so the paint comes off the right way, you know, nice and even. But if you do that, you can get the most amazing straight lines with your paintbrush. And I use this technique all the time. It's just really nice. And like I said, as far as the angle that you pull the ruler up and down with, that doesn't really matter because it's really just using it to run the paintbrush on. So if it's closer, it doesn't really matter. If it's farther away, it doesn't really matter. As long as it stays still, that's what you want to be looking for. Ta-da! Neat trick, huh? I would love to tell you where I learned this trick from. I did not come up with this, but I've been doing it for so long, I really don't remember. Dean, the hot weather has turned into storms in the southeast. Need to listen through earphones due to noisy rain. That's awesome. JC, yeah, JC, it's always hot where you are, right? I want to be like Tim. You know, Tim knows where everyone's from. So I only know where some people are from because of Tim. So there's that. But yeah, Tim has this photographic memory that's insane. Thanks, Kelly. All right, one real quick other note. Let me get some paint in this brush. I haven't used this color in a while. I mean, this version. There we go. So this trick also works with an airbrush too. So it's a little bit harder with an airbrush because, you know, you're kind of messing with it. But if you have an airbrush with any kind of ridge on the front, Micron has this little ridge right here, it'll work the same way. Let me get this going. There we go. It'll work the same way with an airbrush as well. Again, this is a thin black, so, but you get the idea. Nice, super straight lines, and you did that with an airbrush, right? So that works the same way. So again, it's a little bit harder because now, again, with the airbrush, if you're closer, it's going to produce a finer line. You know what I mean? So now the distance that the ruler is tilted back makes a big difference. So you really have to be able to hold it still, and that's tough. Now, I do have a tool that I came up with a friend a long time ago to solve that problem. But I promised that friend that when I ever got around to showing it off and possibly producing it, that his name would be on it and he would be the guy. So I'm not going to show it to you yet, but you know, hopefully someday. Anyway, let's all be more like Tim. Yes, I agree. All right, so there's your ruler trick. Now we're going to put it in use. But neat, really, really neat trick. I use it. This is a little 6-inch ruler. Obviously, I paint real small. However, you know, it works obviously with a bigger ruler for a longer line. You could even use a maul stick, you know, like a long stick. Again, with the paintbrush, you got to be careful because if you're using a maul stick and one end is down on the surface, like you would do with a maul stick, you're getting closer, so you got to be careful with it. Certainly with the airbrush, that's not going to work. You'll do just a really long dagger stroke, unless that's what you want. But you get the idea. Alrighty then. You're not here for that. You're here to finish this painting. We're going to get close. I don't know if I'll finish it, but we're going to be close. So what I've done on this, since you guys have seen it last, and I tried to explain this Monday before everything went sideways, I finished the spare tire. We adjusted this wheel last week, which was great. I finished the blue truck last week, which was also great. The motor is good. I got to do a little bit of work on this headlight, but it's not so bad. And I finished some of the other little details. Basically, I've got it to the point where all that's left is the grille and the license plate. So yeah, so we're not going to finish it today only because I wasn't prepared with the license plate. I still don't know what I'm going to do with that. the tag, but we'll see. We'll see what's going on. So again, we'll be doing these grill lines here. They look like, now that you're closer, they look like this. So you'll notice a couple things. Actually, let me put up the actual photograph, because this is a little bit washed out in the way the camera's going. There we go. So no, we're back. We're back. Sorry. Hey, Dean. Yeah, no, Simon, it wasn't you. It was me. All right. All right. So that's the reference. We'll use a reference photo since that doesn't seem to be working. I'm looking at my monitor to make sure we're caught up. There we go. Okay. I think we're getting caught up now. Okay, good. So anyway, so there's a little something under here, you know, the frame of the radiator or whatever, and you know, some other stuff going on in there. Completely lost sound. We should be back now. Yeah, I had to blow things out. I don't know what's going on, but here we go again. It's all right. I don't think it's nearly as bad as it was last week. I mean Monday. Okay, good, excellent. I'm glad. I mean, I know there is a delay too, so we'll get there, but we'll get there. All right. Yeah, everything seems to be fine now, so it was weird. Just going to roll with it. I don't know. The magic of the interwebs. All right. So I'm going to add a little bit. I don't have the palette cam set up, but I will explain what I'm doing. So there are basically two things that are going on with, or three things that are going on with this. The HD stencil produces these kind of diagonal lines across it, and that's just because the grain of the mesh and then these slightly angled lines make this. Yeah, Simon, I think we're good now. The angle of the mesh versus the angle of these lines make this kind of diagonal going on there. So I got to get rid of that first. I gotta remove those, you know, the diagonal. And this is kind of what we did Monday first before things went totally sideways. Actually, screw that. I'm gonna give me 2 seconds. You're not gonna go anywhere. I'm just gonna set up the palette cam real quick. Yeah. Okay. It's going to get weird for a second while I do this, but should be okay. Do that. You don't need that. What you do need is this, 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 a little less of this, and a little bit less of that. There we go. Okay. Yay. Okay. God, now I'm back now. Yeah, at least, you know, the nice thing about YouTube and the ads, you can either, you know, kind of deal with the ads for the free version, or you know, pay the subscription and then never have ads again. With the other platforms, there is no option. They force feed you everything they want you to see, and that's why it's driving me nuts now. Okay. Thought you were deaf for a minute. I love it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Pyro Red, which is up here, and I'm going to add a little bit of opaque white to it. It'll give me kind of a pink, but still really just a very, you know, just a slightly lighter Pyro Red. And no, I have not got any of the new reducer yet. I'm kind of trying to put together an order. I need more Yupo paper, and I get the big sheets, so I'm trying to kind of consolidate my next order so they can get everything together. So that's been holding me off. And I got plenty of the 4011, so, but I will get it. I will get it. All right, JC's eating now. He won't fall over. That's good. So what I'm going to try to do first is these in-betweens. Where are you guys at? Yeah. Some of these in-betweens, I got to kind of like reduce that, the diagonal noise there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over the lightest part of the grill with this red. Now the opaque white in here is what's doing all the heavy lifting here. So the Pyro Red is opaque, but I have it, you know, kind of thinned out a little bit so that I can so it'll flow off the brush the right way. And so once you thin it, it then is no longer as opaque and it makes it tough to cover. So I'm bumping that back up with the white. Again, this is slightly lighter, but not much. So this will kind of start to eliminate that that diagonal noise that's going on there. Now, once you get used to this ruler technique, kind of see what I'm doing, you get really good, you get a feel for it. And then after a while, it becomes kind of second nature. So you can move it around, you know, like I'm just going from grill line to grill line. But when you get started, don't get frustrated with it, the technique, because it takes a little bit of getting used to, because it feels like you're like on a tightrope. You know, it feels like everything's moving, and you know, it's not what you normally feel when you're using a ruler, that kind of thing. But you will get used to it, and you'll find the right way to, you know, kind of keep it steady. The way I normally kind of, when I started doing this, the way you kind of get it set up, and it's easier to show you with the dark, which I'll show you again, but I'll show you with the lighter red too. So what I want to do is, if I know I want to start here, like here, what I'll do is I'll make sure that's lined up, and then I'll move the brush down as if I'm doing the line, but I'm taking this practice stroke, and then I line the end of it up down here. Once I get that, the start and the stop, then it's pretty much just a matter of dragging the line. You can adjust as you go, which is really nice too. And I showed this a little bit on Monday. I should show it again. But you can move the brush in and out a little bit. So if you're not quite in the right spot, you can kind of, you know, readjust it. But yeah, normally you don't have to. You can just kind of get it lined up and then just go for it. And again, I showed on Monday. Why is this? Am I grabbing the right one? Oh, that's why water got into that. What do you know? Huh. I added too much water to my wet palette, and it got out onto the paint. So what you do in that instance is get your handy dandy paper towel, kind of put it on here, and soak up some of that water. So that's it. I put out way too much water. You can dump this too. You know, if you're careful, you just pick it up and dump it. But I don't think I have to. I did. I hosed that thing down. They confuse me with a stuffed animal. No. Oh God. All right. So that's why this wasn't really working, because the white I grabbed for up here had a lot of water in it too because of the wet palette. So I'm like, why isn't this covering the way it should? But that is why. All right, so I grabbed a little bit of white now that I've dried this off a little bit, and we'll do that again. That's probably not enough red now. So this is, color is a funny thing. Almost all of what, as an artist, what we deal with is the perception of color, not actual color. So, so even if I knew what the exact, wavelength of this particular red is right here, if I mixed, or, the red in the painting, if I mixed it up exactly and I was working on this painting, it might not match the way that I think it's going to match, because it's relative to everything around it. So that's why, when I add a little bit of white to this, I know it's going to stand up because of the other colors around it. Here we go. Timothy John Luke Smith. That's great, Tim. No problem. Great feed last night. So I'm just going to run through a few of these, and then what I'll do, I don't know how excited you all are at watching me paint straight lines, but that's kind of what we got going on. What I might do is, no, I can't do that. I was going to say I do the license plate bracket, but I really can't do that until I get the lines in. All right. Okay, so we'll let that dry a little bit. We'll jump back up here. So that still, I've toned it down, but I don't know if I've toned it down enough. Well, we're going to find out. I can always fix it after. So this brown up here is just opaque black and pyrrole red. It makes its kind of maroon color. So this is kind of my shadow color in here. I think I want to make it a little bit lighter. So here we go. So there are two things going on here. You can see the inside edge of the straight piece, and then you could see through the grill into where it's black inside the radiator, inside the housing. So there are two little lines there, and it's just a matter of getting them. Notice also I didn't finish really the headlight yet. There's still some more work to be done around the edge, and I did that for this reason, because I'll be doing all these lines like here. I've gone over a little bit. I'm going to have to work on it anyway. All right. So what I want to do here is I want to make sure these lines are lined up. So even though I'm doing this little one up here, I want to make sure if I continued it, it would end up down here, and it does. So let's see what we got here as I'm talking, and we are also at a great temperature here. So the paint is drying on the brush. Yeah, so when I get down to the, well, I don't want to do that, but when I get down to the light, I'm just, I'm not worried about cutting into the highlighted part of the headlight, just because I'm going to be repainting that. There's no way to avoid, getting stuff on it. Okay, same thing. I want to kind of line up with the bottom of this one. Make sure I'm in a good spot when I come up here. So this is where I want to start it. And hypothetically, if I was running down the whole thing, I would end up here. Oops, moved. Oh, the paint is drying in the brush really fast. The other thing you guys missed last Monday, while I was having struggle bus problems everywhere, there was a big greasy fingerprint right about here. So as I was doing these lines, the paint was just like resisting and beating up. And I'm like, man, come on. It's like, how much stuff can go wrong? Like all of the stuff can go wrong. So there you go. So those lines are lined up. What was I thinking right before that? Oh, that's what I was thinking. So one other quick note here. Let me, I got another shot. I've got the, oh, that was harsh. No, not that one. I need to take a break. Got the painting. I've got the aluminum ruler, and I've got the ruler right on the painting. That's just asking again for a disaster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the paper towel here. This is just a lint-free shop rag, and I'm going to grab a couple magnets and just put them here. So now the ruler isn't on the painting anymore. If I was just doing one line, you know, I could probably get away with it. But since I'm doing all these lines, I really, really don't want to, you know, scratch the painting at this point. Oh, thanks, Tim. I appreciate that. There we go. All right. So the ruler keeps the ruler, the cloth keeps the ruler off the painting, because we don't want to have to fix anything, especially at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few of these up top. See how they look. And I'll show you what I'm looking for in a second, once I get a few of these in. Ugh, I got a fingerprint up here too. Are you kidding me? Guys. Steve doesn't want to play anymore. Goodness. I thought I fixed that. Well, you guys get to see how I fixed that too then. All right, I'm going to let that dry for a second. I'll show you how you fix that. I showed everyone how to fix that on Monday, or how I fix it. So let's let that dry, because it needs to be dry, because if it's wet, it's just going to make even more of a mess. Airbrushes are also paint dryers. You knew that. Okay, that should be dry. So I'm going to use this same paper towel. And again, this is a lint-free shop rag. You can get these at any hardware store. I really like them. They're super, you know, clothy. They're real durable. I use them as, you know, everything rags. And then I have a roll of less expensive paper towels that I just use around the shop too. So what you do is you grab your, this is where this works really well with these shop rags, because it's lint-free and they don't tend to tear. So they're good for this. So I'll wrap it around my finger. Obviously you want a really clean spot. You don't use the dirty one with the paint all over it. Ask me how I know. Thanks, JC. All right, so I've got the paper towel, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly rub right on the surface here. I'll show you what this does. So pretty much everything is abrasive, you know. A piece of paper is abrasive. This paper towel is abrasive. And if I do this really lightly, I'll start to pull up red. Get it? But if I'm pulling up red, I'm also pulling up whatever oil is left on the surface. Now, I haven't pulled up enough to damage the painting because I put a lot of red on there, so that's really good. And what I've done is now I've kind of cleaned up that area. So because there was a fingerprint just in that spot, I'm going to assume there's garbage over here on this part too. I think what I did is I fixed this part Monday, but didn't do the rest of it. Cleaning upholstery as well. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's so funny because I'm, you know, I'm like a a strongest solvent possibly available first kind of guy, which is bad. You know, it's like, oh, if the directions say add 1 teaspoon of this cleaner to the water, I'll add a half a gallon because more is better, right? But that's how you get into trouble. So I'm trying to be better at that. So there you go. So I've taken off a little bit of red. I really haven't changed the color of this at all. So I'm positive now I've got it. If you notice here, yeah, you can see it. I've also taken off some of the brown here that I just put on. And the reason why is because the oil wasn't letting it stick. One, it was causing it to bead up. But it was also, you know, just not sticking at all. So that's a big problem. I don't want that. You know, I don't want this to fail somewhere down the road because, you know, I didn't have the stuff sticking the way it should. Thanks, Dean. No kidding. Dean, parts of this week have gone really well, but a lot of the art stuff has gone extremely poorly as far as technical stuff and other stuff. It's just been a weird week. So let's see what happens the rest of the last couple days. All right. And I just used my paper towel that I was blocking this with to wipe that off. So there we go. All right. So now the good news is I've got these lines already in here. They're broken up now because I cleaned on them. But now I know where they are. So now it's pretty easy to just kind of go over them. I would love to tell you that I'm going to nail all these grill lines in one shot and not have to do any work on them. I will also tell you that that would be an absolute first in my entire career to pull that off. So I'm not expecting that because, you know, these lines are really precise. They're super close together. You know, they'll read wrong immediately if they're not in the right spot, that kind of thing. So there is usually a lot of pushing around with these. But what I find is the trick is, especially with repetitive patterns that people can pick up on really, really quickly, grills are one of them. Like if the grill is wonky in a car, it's usually the first thing you can, like if there's like a hyper realistic drawing or painting of a car, the two things that will always give it away are the wheels, you know, the way the wheels are. If they're not, you know, it's easy not to be perfectly, you know, smooth. And then the other place to always give it away is the grill. Usually those are the two places that things get weird. So, yeah. That's why when I see these cars with these, the new cars are great because no, you know, cars today really don't have grills, and when they do, they're really small. So it makes it easy to paint. Modern cars, old cars with big fat grills and zillion crosses and lines everywhere. It's fun, but it's also, you know, not fun. All right. Ta-da! All right, I'm going to do, how many more are you going to do? I got to do at least a couple more here. Add again, JC, I don't have a lot of subscriptions. So I have a Netflix subscription. Marge has a Prime subscription. What else do I have? I mean, other than like work, I have Adobe and stuff like that. But for entertainment, I have, I still have Pandora because I've been using Pandora forever, but I know I'm going to switch over to Spotify. So YouTube, the way I kind of determined what I was going to get a subscription for was how much I use whatever. And what I was finding was even not only just the feeds and all that kind of stuff, but I was using YouTube a lot for just kind of like letting the videos run. Like I think I mentioned it about Tim's feed. When I miss Tim's feed, what I do the next day is I just put it on. And Tim paints for, you know, Tim paints for a couple hours. So that's running all the time. So what I was finding was just like you said, JC, it's like, you know, in the middle of everything, I keep getting ads and I'm like, you know, I have this on all day. And now I'm, you know, now I get the channel and I'm pushing it. So I'm just going to pay for the sub. So that's kind of how I come up with it. You know, it's how much I'm using it. Same thing with the music platform. Like way back when I started getting, you know, I was using Spotify and Pandora, the free versions. And after a while, I'm like, this is on all day. Like all day. Like, dude, like just pay for it and don't get the ads. And yeah, I know we live in a subscription society though, so it's easy to have like too many subscriptions. So I really try to limit it. Hopefully you saw what I just did there. I kind of screwed this line up, so I went back to that same pinkish red, and I went back in there and I fixed the one that I had done. Looks like you've saved it this end, but I've got sunglasses on. Nice. Trying to clear coat bumpers in 90 degrees. Yeah, Simon, it's the humidity too, really, right? Gosh, that's the worst. I mean, if you don't have a humidity and temperature controlled booth, it is the worst. All right, so I've let that dry and I'm just kind of going over it again with the same light red color, because that one collapsed into another. So what I want to do is I want to make sure I get this now. I don't want to do all these and then have to fix all of them. I'd rather just kind of, you know, get them done as we go. So the reason why I'm, you know, I would just normally say, and that's how you do it. But the reason why I'm doing a few of them is because what I really want to see is, will you still be able to pick up that diagonal pattern from the HD stencil. And if you cannot, as I'm doing these, then I've got it where I need it to be. All right, so I fixed that. I just put that back in. Now I'm going to move on to the next one, make sure I'm lined up. And while I'm thinking of this too, I know this is the UK feed, but if there is anyone local to Northeast Ohio, you guys know I have work in a great gallery here. It's actually in Lisbon, Ohio. And so I brought some new pieces down to the gallery yesterday and dropped them off. And we try to, like, nothing that he has is on my site, that, you know, of mine. So if you want to check out some new pieces, and you can run down there. I love Lisbon. Lisbon is a city or town that was, you know, built early 1800s, and it feels 1800s, so it feels like home to me. Heating the booth usually is the issue. This week I've been desperately trying to cool it down. Yeah, exactly, Simon. Yeah, I don't envy body guys, not at all, in this weather. All right, what happened there? What do I got to do? Oh, the last line I put in was not dark enough. So I think it was, actually what happened was, I think it was just, there wasn't enough paint. I think I over-reduced it. So this is the one I also just fixed, so I don't want to, you know, do this so I screw it up again either. Okay. So is that enough of them? I think so. I think so. So again, what I'm looking for is that those diagonal lines that go through this thing, I want to make sure I can't see them in the finished product, and I can't right now, which is really good. I can do minor adjustments as we go, but I don't want to have to, like, you know, I don't want it to be a problem. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, oh, you don't have palette cam on. I'm going to grab some black. So black is the other thing that's got to go in here. Hey, Gary, what's up, buddy? So the black is going to go on the inside of this, and it's so hard for you guys to see because it's so small, but I will, I'm going to give you a little diagram of what I'm doing so you can see it. Hold on. I did this Monday too. Okay. Where are you looking? Here you're looking. So here's the first line that I put in. This is the brown. These are the grill lines, like this. So they're brown, like this. So those are those lines I'm putting in, the brown ones. Now, the other side of it, there's a black line that goes like this, and it's really, really thin. But this is the one that shows you that there's, you know, there's inside of the grill. And it's a tiny, tiny line, and it's just jet black. So that's what I'm trying to come out with here. So again, it's super small, so it's difficult for you to see, but now you know what I'm doing. So 35 degrees in the booth. Eesh. Whoa, there's a bug. The heck? Welcome to summer. Go. All right. So it's just on this lower edge. So I should mention too, there are degrees of using the ruler like this too. You know, it's not like just doing super long lines. In this case, like I could do the line without the ruler because it's only a small, you know, a small stretch. But what this ruler is doing for me, even in these small ones, is just kind of steadying my hand so it's not bouncing around really. So like I said, there are degrees. Sometimes I use it to just paint a really straight line. Sometimes it's just there to kind of keep my hand from, you know, wobbling all over the place, especially with these lines. There you go. So those guys right there are done now, except for one quick thing. And everything seems to be holding up, right? We still like a little bit choppy. All right, we'll see what's up. Let me show you how, I'll do a few more of these, but then what I'm going to do at the end is I'm going to kind of finish up the edge here. Again, I'm trying not to, screw this edge up, but I know I'm going to have to fix it to get it to round over real smooth. And obviously the same thing, I'm just going to, when I get to the headlight, I'll just grab some white, for that upper edge and just kind of clean it all up like this. So again, that's why I'm not worried about the headlight at all or the top of the grill. Oh, Gary, thank you, buddy. Thank you so much, Gary. You're awesome. Oops. There we go. So the same thing with, the top of this fender is a really kind of a complex color with this red and the blue. And then a little bit maroon. So I kind of don't want to have to repair that, but if I have to, I have to. It's not a big deal. All right, Gary, you're the man. You got to. I got to touch base with you too on your win. So, okay. So yeah, we'll put a few more of these in so you get the idea. But I think you get the idea. Dean, that's awesome. That makes me happy, Dean. These lines go all the way down. What am I doing here? Oh, I know what I'm doing here. All right. I stopped these lines here and I shouldn't have. There's, like I said, there's like this little lip here. I think it's the bottom inside of the whole housing. So it does get lighter here, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to stop these lines here. I'll add that after. So Dave was talking yesterday about his new compressor that he's waiting on, the 30TC. I didn't want to type all kinds of stuff in there, but I have a 30TC, a Silent Air 30TC as well. Well, I shouldn't say, well, it is my travel compressor. It's the one I bring when I go east or whatever. But it is also the compressor that I have over in my little tiny spray booth over there too. That's the compressor I use for that booth, and I love it. And when I ever do build my full-on travel setup with the case and everything, the 30TC is going to be the compressor for that. It's an outrageously strong compressor for the size that it is. It's a silent compressor, so it's heavy, but it's also, you can also pick it up with one hand, and it's got this neat frame on it. So that is made by the wonderful folks over at Silent Air. I wish Silent Air was more like out there. They used to be. The owner's name was Kurt, and I had heard he had passed away. Super, super nice guy, and he was really into the whole airbrush thing. Even though airbrushing was such a small part of what Silent Air really does. Silent Air, the company themselves, what they were doing the most of was medical grade compressors. So for dentists and things like that, that was their real thing. But because they already made the compressors, there was a market for them in the airbrush world. He just kind of cut off part of his company, or divided part of his company, and came up with all the airbrush stuff. And just a super, super down-to-earth guy. Really nice guy. And into wine. He really loved wine. Every year for Christmas, Silent Air would give away wine that they would curate themselves. And the best part about the program was every year they would choose an airbrush artist to do the label for that year. So I was fortunate, and I actually got to do the bottles one year, and it was a lot of fun. I miss Kurt a lot. All right. That's what it should be. So go all the way down, Steve. Go all the way down. So yeah, so I run 2 compressors here, not at the same time, but I have 2 compressors that I have going. And the one that I run the whole place off, the one you guys, well, aren't hearing now, the one that runs the silent air bench, is 15, why can't I think of it? It's a TC, 15 TC. TC? 15 TC? No. Now I can't remember it. Because I'm a grandpa and I'm old. 50, no, Tim's is the 50, I don't know what I have anymore. 50-15, that's what I have. Steve, yeah, I have a 50-15. I knew it was a 15. So that's the main compressor that I have, and that runs everything. And these don't quite line up. I don't like that. Maybe that's this one. This is why you do them all at once, kids, because now I don't know that I've got those lined up the right way. Yeah, I have a 50-15, which I really love, even though you wouldn't think so because, I couldn't remember the name of it, but I do really love it. I've had it forever, too. Tim talked about the longevity of those silent compressors. They are so strong, they just laugh at, like with my single airbrush, that thing laughs at what I put it through. So that's, it's great because it just will allow it to keep going for a long, long time. Callie, have a good one. Thank you, buddy. All right. There we go. I think we're back on. We're lined up again. Just a little bit scary because I felt like I was missing one. Yeah, so this silent air is one of the things that if it ever died, which knock on wood, or whatever happy thoughts need to be had to make sure that it doesn't die. But if it ever did die, I would just get another one. They, like I said, they are not cheap. Last time I checked, the 50-15 was over $1,000. However, if it's something that you use all the time, like I do, and I've had small loud compressors, and it's just like I wouldn't be able to work that way. Dean's dinner is done. This is the problem with having it at 6 p.m. Everyone's eating dinner. So the UK people are going to eat dinner, and the US folks are just finishing lunch, which is okay. All right, how far am I going with this? So the center is here. There's also the crank is down here too. I assume that's where the crank was. So I just want to know, because what happens is as once you get to the other half of the grill here, the lines get just really super small. So I just want to make sure I know where I'm going with that, so I don't, accidentally just kind of do the whole thing with one size. So this also makes it, the ruler trick makes it really easy to go over a line like I'm doing. If I just do this by, just kind of by hand, it's really difficult to get the paintbrush in the same spot. This is super easy, just a matter of running it down. Simon's not eating dinner. Simon's waiting for paint to dry or booths to cool. I haven't had, did I have anything today? I haven't eaten today, which is bad. Kind of hit the ground running today. All right, so I'm going to do that so I don't forget. I'm going to grab the black here and do those, the edges of them again. The black edge line, this line I'm putting in now, is definitely the hold your breath one. But if you pull it off, it's money, because it just adds so much to the depth of that grill. as I go and screw that one up totally. Oh, Sam's done. Good. All right, we'll fix that one in a second. I let the brush kind of flare out a little bit. All right, so if you are a regular Monday nighter, I mentioned it, and Colin, my son, and I have done a revamp, or not a revamp, but we've got a new scoring system for the 543s sorry, I try to think and paint at the same time. A new way to kind of give credit to the people who play along every week, and the people who do essentially what Gary just did, but on the Facebook side, it's a star thing when they donate. So we came up with a little kind of a point system. So we rolled it out last week, kind of a soft rollout. So we'll finish it up this week, but it'll be a regular thing. So if you are playing along now, you can win an extra 543. Even if you've already won, which is lovely. So, all right, so what I've done is, well, you saw it. I grabbed some of that pink again. This line got fuzzy right here because I wasn't paying attention. So I can go back in and repair it. Just got to be patient. You know, I talk about this a lot when I'm working. You know, I'm always fixing stuff. It's like a kind of a balance. That's how I know it's done, when I fix the last thing. So it's okay if it happens, you know. In fact, my life has gotten so much better now that I'm, you know, like I'm okay with screwing it up, because if I feel like I'm going to screw it up, I know I can fix it, which is nice. Okay, so that's the bar that goes across. So I could have actually run these right across. It wouldn't have mattered. Which now it's too late. Doesn't matter anyway. Although maybe I should. I'm going to do these freehand. So what's going on here is this bar goes across the top, and this is the bar for it's actually the part of the headlight mounts, but they also have the license plate mounted to it. So on the early 20s Fords, I've seen the license plate mounted on this with just some wraparound brackets. I've also seen them kind of down here on the bottom, and I've also seen them out on the bumper too. I think it really boils down to personal preference. But that bar runs right across here. So I could keep these grill lines going through, which is really what I want to do. Because when I go to put that bar across, I want to make sure that, you know, those lines are really continuous. And they'll cover it anyway. So I'm just going to, for shits and giggles, I'm going to continue them on through. It's only really right here and here. But that way I'll know there won't be this weird gap in there. Okay, that's good. We have 3 more to do. So let's just keep going with the the grill this here. The other half of the grill is going to be fun. We'll see if we can get to it. Because those lines are really, really thin. Like micro thin. Okay, so more of that brown. I don't have a soapbox for you today. I guess my soapbox was the, griping about Facebook and what they're doing. That really bums me out. I mean, really, because, I think a lot of us have been there from the beginning, I had a MySpace page before I had a Facebook page, Well, I guess MySpace was before Facebook. But yeah, I was using MySpace all the time, and then Facebook came along and I made a Facebook page. So I've been there right from the beginning. And like all the social medias, it was just really a good, it was a nice alternative to the forums, which we were using before. The internet forums, like there was an airbrush one called airbrush.com, which was great because it was so like specific, you know, it was just people who airbrush. But then all of a sudden you have Facebook, and now you can put your, you know, put your artwork up there and everyone can see it, not just airbrushers. And that seemed like a really cool thing in the beginning. But like I said, now it just feels like it's all like they're just there to push content on you that, you know, you don't really want. Now I could go right through the license plate if I really, really wanted to, but it's not overly necessary, you know, because I think I can clean up that edge enough. There's also the crank right here, which I'm also not worried about. I can repaint that in after. It's more important to get the lines right, the grill lines right. It hasn't happened with this. Are you guys seeing what I'm doing, or am I off the... Yeah. It hasn't happened with this one, but sometimes like these, you know, when I'm doing grill lines, they'll kind of stray a little bit, and I'll be off of what really, you know, what the drawing really says. And that's okay as long as it's not too far off. I just got to own it, you know, just keep going with it. This is working out, you know, really well. I can see the HD stencil line underneath, so I kind of know where I'm going. But sometimes, you know, it doesn't happen that way. And then, like I said, the trick is if it looks close, if it's good enough, really good enough, not just like, you know, you're going to settle for it. But if it really looks good enough, you just got to run with it, you know, instead of trying to fix it. I have a really up and down relationship with Facebook. It's the best way to stay connected to my friends in the US and Australia, but certain aspects get on my tips. Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I'm just kind of, I don't know. Like just this past year, it seems like it's gone from, you know, like I get my family, like I have 2 Facebook pages, you know, one for family, and did I go too far? No, this is the last one. You know, one for family, which doesn't have artwork on it, and then one for the artwork. And it's a nice way to keep things separate or whatever. And even though, you know, there's a ton of crossover there, but still. So, you know, before it was nice to be able to be on the personal one and get updates on my family and, you know, whatever. But now it's like just you just getting hammered with like not only AI garbage, but just like everything. Like if I happen to be like, you know, God forbid I look up like a new paddle for the kayak, it's like all of a sudden I'm like bombarded with kayak ads on Facebook. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, I get it. Everyone's trying to sell something, but there's a way to do it without like beating me to a pulp. So there's your soapbox. Yay. All right, so let's take a look at this. These are the diagonal lines I want to avoid. So if I can still see them, because I didn't do the red on them, I want to make sure that they're not visible. And they are a little bit up here. So we're going to correct those before we put the black in, and then we really, you know, have a little bit of a problem. So the way to do that is with the red, the light red. I have to keep looking at the camera, the monitor, so I make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing. And then, you know, it's true with YouTube as well. Everyone complains about the algorithm all the time. Like whatever the algorithm is, it never works for anyone. I get that. However, you know what? I stopped trying to chase that a long time ago. It's like I'm going to put out what I think is good content, or, you know, I try to make good content. If people find me and they like it and they want to share it, that's awesome. But the people who are here are the people who actually care. You know, I don't want to hit it like so that a million people just see it out of nowhere and then just aren't interested after. I've heard of so many channels that have exploded and then immediately died. And I just don't, that's not of any interest to me at all. The channel's growing, and it's growing at a perfect rate. And, you know, when I get a few new followers, it's I see them in the chat or I see them in the comments. And that's exactly what I want, you know. I often call you guys my art family, and you really are. So I want to keep it that way. I mean, well, if something happens and the channel becomes Mr. Beast and everyone wants to see me paint straight lines all day, that's okay too, but I'm certainly not banking on that. All right, so these are little black lines. I kind of went heavy at the end, which is okay. But that's the whole side there now. And that did not come out sucktastic. Let's take a look. That's got to dry anyway before I do a little bit of correction on that. But all right, let's see what we got here. So there is something going on right here that I'm not a big fan of. Oh, that's where the edge was. Oh. Okay, well, we'll start fixing it. So now I'm not gonna, this part over here, I gotta figure out what I'm doing. The other half of the grill where it folds over. So let's fix the easy part first, and then we'll figure out the other stuff. Yeah, and then, you know, I did sign up for Cara, the new art thing. It's like it's kind of like the old forum days, you know, it's just art and it's no AI. So I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. But honestly, I don't, you know, I mean, I don't give it too much of a chance, really. It's hard to go against the Kraken, you know what I mean? What's going to happen is, the way it'll really pan out, someone with a lot of money, like a stupid amount of money, that isn't a player yet, will say, you know what, Facebook has had its time, and we're just going to buy our way in, and that's the way that's going to pan out. But it's not going to be some small startup, you know, it's going to be something gigantic. And then the only problem with that is whoever does that is smart enough to know that it's a platform to sell stuff, and it's just going to be more of the same. So whatever. The kids call it being a doomer, and I don't want to be that way, but I'm a grandpa now, and I can say, get off my lawn. I like it the way it used to be. Get me a sweater. All right, this is weird. I think it's another fingerprint thing. Oh, Dean, yeah. Yeah, it's so crazy. And I refuse to do TikTok. No interest at all. No interest at all. So, yeah, that won't ever happen. I did originally when it first popped up, because I'm always like looking. So when it first popped up, I'm like, oh, seems interesting. You know, short format video platform, all right. But as soon as I found out what the deal was, I'm like, nah, I'm out. So, all right. Yeah, a few minor adjustments here and there, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. Okay. Yeah, so we can start cleaning this up a little bit now. All right, so to clean this up, there's a couple things going on here. Like there's a bar that goes across, not a bar, but a division in the grill. And those, the ends of those are really nicely rounded. So I'm gonna kind of, oh, you know what I'm gonna do first? Yeah. So we're gonna round those over so that they look good. So I'm gonna need the red again, this lighter kind of correction red that I've been using. It's kind of like a really deep salmon color, really. But it's funny, when I use it on here, it ends up being red because it's, you know, it's thin enough that it's just slightly transparent, so you see the bright red underneath, and then it just covers enough. Most of the time it's fine for me, Dean. I have so many folks that I know I'd lose contact with most of the time. I keep my feed as managed as I can. Yeah, And actually the nice thing for me with the Book of Face is they're kind of self-regulating my time on there just by default. You know, I just get frustrated and say, yeah, I'm done seeing ads. You know, I'm not seeing anything for my family or whatever. I have to hunt for my family. So I'm just seeing a bunch of ads. So I just stop. Where normally before, I just keep scrolling. And it's like, what's this person doing? And what's that person doing? And it would just go on and on. Now it's like I immediately get burnt out on all the, you know, the suggested follow stuff that I just turn it off. And it's wonderful. So, all right. We are getting there. So now I've ran that red across, so I've kind of clipped off the top and the bottom of all these, which is just kind of just what I want. So I'll grab this brown again. I'm going to add a little bit more dark to it because it's kind of at the top of the opening in the grill. And now I'm just going to cap each one of these off with just a little bit of, you know, the roundness that's there. So sometimes, you know, when I finished the brush stroke before, when I was putting them in, they were kind of pointed or, you know, uneven or whatever. So I can kind of go in and round them over the way they should be now. And the same thing on the other side. I admire you for just leaving. So many people complain that they hate Facebook. On Facebook, yeah. Exactly. Happens all the time. Which is why I think, and I'm going to do the same thing for the bottoms of these, you know, so just going to round them over a little bit, just clean them up, make them look good. So that's why I kind of feel that, you know, it's primed for someone to kind of come in and give people an alternative. Again, I don't know, now that the advertising is the way it is. I can't see someone starting one and not doing the same thing though, you know. So, all right, so the same thing on the top here. This top part, I'm just going to kind of even all of them off right in one shot. Basically cut them all off at the top. Same thing on the bottom here. Just going to run the line right along the bottom and just clip them right off. It's easier to fix them all than to try to get them right in the first shot. Now the only problem is I got to really let that dry. That's super wet. I am happy. I'm happy with the way this is coming out. This, like I said, this part here could have been a nightmare. It could have been a lot of just, you know, fixing and back and forth. Thanks, Simon. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I left this for the end. I mean, the wire wheels are easier to do for me. All that stuff there is easier to do than this. Brad, thank you, sir. You're the best. I really appreciate that, Brad. Man, thank you, Brad. You guys know I went home. I went back east. I headed to the east coast of Massachusetts, or to Massachusetts, to see my daughter and the new grandbaby. And I love my car. My car is awesome. It owes me nothing. But you know, it's got a few miles on it now, and decided to start ejecting parts all over the place on this trip. So yeah, Brad, I definitely appreciate that. That means a lot. So again, same deal. I'm just going to round over the tops of that a little bit. And what's nice, because I ran the red right across, now all these lines just end right at the right spot, you know. All I'm doing is now just adding a little bit of roundness to the top to get them to roll over. So that's an excellent question, Simon. So you would think they would, but they don't. They are lighter, but the reason why they're lighter is this. I'll show you. And we were just talking about this before, so it's a perfect segue. We'll move this aside for a second. So here's why they're lighter. Why that's lighter on the back. So the front grill, I'll just draw a little bit of it. There's the really dark part here, like we painted. And then there's the lighter part, like here. But that's still, you know, darker than the just a straight up red. And then there's the red that's right at the front. And then that pattern repeats again. Super dark, medium brownish color, and then the other red, right? So that's what we're dealing with the grill here right now. That's obviously darker. So the other side, all that you have is the really thin dark line and then the red line and then another dark line. And then again, it repeats. So the thing is these, I didn't really draw them well here. What really is going on is you have the dark line and then you have the little bit heavier red line. So what's going on is you have much more of this dark here. So your eye picks up on all the dark and not this little bit of red. Here you have the proportion, you know, much more red to the proportion of the really dark. So you see more of the red, so it seems lighter. That's why it seems lighter in this instance. But yeah, if it was any other instance where it was like, you know, buildings or whatever, and you had, you know, distance between it, it would seem lighter because of the, you know, the atmospheric perspective. But this is lighter only because of the illusion, which is really neat because this is the same color as this. This is the same color as this. So it's the exact same colors, but because you're looking at more of the dark, it just gives the image, you know, really, you know, that darker feel. It's Elisa Ganufa, fellow grandparent. Yay. Oh, that's right, Brad. I knew you were waiting. Congratulations. Nori, what a pretty name. Oh, that's awesome, Brad. Congratulations. All right. I don't want to paint these lines. Let's not paint them. I mean, we're going to finish them, but we're not going to paint them. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my clean glove here, and I'm going to make sure there is no oil on this at all. Yeah, so it's the amount of the target color, the color that you perceive as the, like, the, obviously when you look at this, you don't see, you know, so much the black. What you see is the red everywhere. It's the truck is red. So that's the color that registers in your brain. So the black is just the value adjusting part of it, even though that's not entirely true. But that's what's going on here. So yeah, so when you change the proportion of that value adjusting thing, that's what really makes it lighter or darker. So, all right, so I want to make sure there's no oil on this at all. If there is, this isn't going to work. So normally I would say this is cheating, but it's really not. We're going to grab our Micron pen. Can't see it here, but it's our Pigma Micron, and it's a super small one. Is this small enough? Do I have the smaller one here? I'm going to hang you guys up for a second. I'll be right back. I got to see if I have the smaller one. All right, I don't know where it is. I feel like Tim now, not knowing where stuff is. All right, I thought I had an 005. This is the, you can't read it, but this is an 001. So this is the one I signed like all the 543s with you, with. But I had an 005, which is the next size down, but I don't know where that is. I've never used it, which is why I can't find it. All right, so this is a really thin pen anyway. Again, I could do the same trick with the paintbrush, but in this case, you know, I don't want to. It wouldn't matter in the end. That's the thing. Like, it's going to look the same whether I paintbrush it or use the pen if it comes out right. And there is no cheat. It just is what it is. So now the nice thing about this is I can use the ruler right on the surface. All right, so what do I want to look at here? Oh, they are so close. Here's the reference. They are so close together. This might not be thin enough. No, I don't think this is thin enough. Well, poop. I guess I got to do it. All right, you guys get the show. I actually, you know what? I don't even think the 005 is that thin. Can you see that? How thin those lines are? Now, could I just leave it like this, or put a little bit of gray over the whole thing and call it a day? I could. I mean, but I don't know. I think that's copping out. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this the same red, and I'm really going to darken it up with a bunch of black, because I don't need this color anymore, but I do need this to be pretty dark. I don't want it to be black because it'll stand out too much. And the other side of this is this has to palette really, really well to pull this off. All right, let's see. Okay, I need my reference. Let's see what I'm doing here. What am I getting myself into? All right, so it doesn't start right at the beginning. There's a gap here. This doesn't even show up on the HD stencil. That's how thin it is. Yep, that'll work, but it's going to have to be black because it doesn't show up. Okay, we're doing it. So for this on the palette, like I've got a bunch of black here, and if you were here at the beginning, you saw that I put too much water in and it leaked out onto the parchment. So it screwed up all the paint, and I can't take a chance with this. Razor cut lines or stencil material. Yeah, I don't know if I could line up a stencil that for this. I'm gonna have to. This is all going to be by eye. So I put up brand new black in a nice clean spot that doesn't have water on it, because I really need this to be fresh paint, and I need it to palette super well, which means it needs to be really even inside the brush and no clumps, no weirdness, because to pull these lines off, everything's going to work just right. But it's going to work. It's going to work. I know it's going to work. All right, good. All right, so I'm using just the very, 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 very tip of the brush to get this to work. It's a little bit choppy there, which is unfortunate because I can't get these. Getting them in once is hard enough. To have to go over them is stupid. All right, because the brush started to run out of paint here at the end, which what I should have done was not push it, just cut my losses and just, kind of reset the brush. But, what the frick could go wrong? Yeah, it's skipping down here. I know I got all the fingerprints off, but that's okay. I can live with that. Oh. There we go. All right, a little bit of cleanup on that, and little cleanup on aisle 7, and that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm super happy with that. All right, same deal here. Like, I just went right down to the bottom because I wasn't playing games with that. There's a pretty big lip down at the bottom here, so it's easy to just erase everything and have it look like I knew what I was doing. You know what I mean? Just kind of like come in and clean it up. That top has a highlight on it, so that's not going to make a difference. And then I'll figure out where that little crank opening is too. But yeah, that's going to work. That's going to work for me. There you go. You guys got to see the good, the bad, and the almost ugly. Well, you got to see the ugly too. I had to fix a few things. So what I'm going to do on my own, I'm going to let this dry. Down here, it's a little bit skippy, and I don't know why. I mean, I thought I got all the fingerprint off. So I'm going to have to kind of fix that a little bit, but it's not going to be bad. I just got to let it dry and let it, just kind of do its thing before I start screwing around with it. And then from there, all I got to do is make a decision on the license plate. I still haven't done that. I don't know, I might do a Ford, like a Ford logo, or I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Or I could just put the license plate in. The only thing I don't know, I'm pretty sure this is a 32 Ford, but the license plate he's got here says 33, so I don't know what the deal is with that. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that. And then the last thing I got to do is I just got to clean up this headlight now that I've got all the, pretty much the grill in as well. So yeah, so we're pretty much there. This is almost done. I talked to Source Gallery too. They're going to order me the same frame that the Harley painting has going on it, or has on it. So I'm really excited about that too. So let me turn this off. Switch out to this so you can see the whole thing. So again, all that crazy work. There's my thumb. It's the size of my thumb. You'll never see it unless you're on top of it. But I guarantee that if it was wonky, if it was all like just kind of sketched in, if I just kind of like took all the time to do everything else really meticulously, but then just kind of like indicated some lines there, yeah, it would look good from far away. But as soon as anyone got on it, it's like, okay, how did this get in an accident? And I don't want that. Nobody wants that. So there we go. We are almost there. Almost there. I'm super happy. Glad you were there for that too. I'm glad it remained relatively stable as well. Switch back to this one. So there we go. So thank you all. Thank you so much, Brad and Gary, for the super chats. That means the world. It really does. So like I said, it just means the world, and that you guys are hanging out. This year is going to be crazy with everything that's going on, and it's so nice to have you guys around. So what else we got this week? I think Scott McKay's tonight, if you're around tonight, and then Monday we're going to try Facebook again for Monday Night Live. Going to have 5 new paintings. We'll be to roll out the new point system. So we'll get that going too, and hopefully I should have this done by then too, so I can show you the final painting, which I'm excited about. All right, so thank you all for hanging out on your Thursday with me. If you have any questions, just shoot me a message, and I will get back to you. All right, so for Steve Leahy and this thing, I will catch you guys next time. Oh, look, it's Monday Night Live. It's not really Monday Night Live. Sorry about that. All right, guys, I'll catch you later.